Hello and welcome to the Spanish Football Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Phil Kitromilides. Sid Lowe's with me. Hello, Sydney. We're here to look ahead to the Champions League quarter-final clash between Barcelona and Manchester United at Old Trafford on Wednesday evening. Barcelona going into the game having more or less wrapped up the La Liga title with a 2-0 victory over Atletico Madrid on Saturday. Man United won't have played for over a week by the time this game comes around. They lost to Wolves last Tuesday, of course. Do you think that is maybe something that could be positive for Man United, the fact that Barca had a big game at the weekend and they've had a whole week to prepare?
Valverde was asked about this at the weekend and asked about it as in terms of whether or not he was annoyed by this, whether he thought this was an unfair advantage. He answered as he normally does, and very calmly, very rational about it, didn't seem particularly bothered, but his point was that, you know, we have players who have just been for a really big game. We weren't going to rotate for this. We won't rotate for Manchester. We've got the time now to rest up to a point in that they played on Saturday. And it's a Wednesday game, not a Tuesday game, so it's not as tight as it might have been. They've not rotated very much all season, which on the one hand might make you think, well, that means that they're pushing this and they're taking a risk. And when they rotated Gerard Piqué against Villarreal, for example, it's the first time all season he'd missed any minutes at all. Any minutes at all, and they conceded 4 goals, admittedly scored 4 as well. They haven't really rotated Messi, and they've been determined to do so this year, because last year they were caught out a bit. They got beaten in Rome, and Luis Suarez himself said, I regret now playing every game going up to that. And actually we've seen more of the same this year, but they've dealt with it quite well, and they seem to have a physical as well as a footballing response in all of the big games in particular. I think in a way the risk of Barcelona is them getting caught out rather than them being physically less fit. It may well be, who knows, that having not competed for this long is detrimental for Manchester United.
Barcelona's away record in the knockout stages of the Champions League is not just a bit ropey, it's actively bad.
Terrible.
They lost 3-0 at Roma last season. Of course, they were beaten 3-0 at Juventus. They lost 4-0 at Paris Saint-Germain. They were beaten 2-0 at Atletico Madrid as well. I mean, 4 convincing defeats, and they didn't even manage to score in those games.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if they went to Old Trafford and played something closer to 4-4-2. Now, it will never be exactly a 4-4-2 because of the nature of the players in there, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw 4 midfielders, 2 forwards, Messi and Suarez, but not Coutinho with them, or not Dembele with them, or not Malcolm with them, and I think they will try to protect themselves up to a point. They actually played very well away in France against Lyon.
They did.
What we don't know is it's difficult to judge the level of that, and whether that's a similar level to United, whether a better level to United, a worse level to United. Obviously, they then beat them quite convincingly at home. But even then, they were made to struggle a little bit. I mean, there's certainly some cause for optimism for United. Look, if Barcelona get it right, yes, they should go through. But I don't think it's guaranteed that they will.
Obviously, the 2 up front, Messi and Suarez, they both scored at the weekend. They are huge goal threats. Their record in the Champions League, though, Suarez hasn't scored away from home in the Champions League
for 2 years, I think.
For 2 years, Messi hasn't scored a goal hasn't scored a goal in the quarterfinals or further in the Champions League since 2015.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been further in the Champions League since 2015. They've been knocked out by Atletico, by Juventus and by Roma 3 years in a row in the quarterfinals. There's a very conscious sense of prioritising the Champions League this year, even though they're in the Copa del Rey final and they're almost certainly going to win the league now with that 11-point lead with 7 games to go. But this has been the priority all the way through. I think there's a focus on it. That's no guarantee of anything, by the way, the focus. I mean, we often talk about this as if, oh, well, they really want to win it, therefore they will. It doesn't work like that, but they have the quality to do so. I think they have the sense of responsibility, and if that means sacrificing certain elements of what they would like to do, whether it's stylistically or so on, I think they'll do it. I think they're concerned about United's pace, particularly behind the 2 fullbacks who tend to leave space. I think they'll be concerned about the risk of pressing too high because of the space they leave behind, and so I think we might see a Barcelona team that's relatively conservative, wanting the ball and wanting control, but relatively conservative with it. That said, we thought that in the build-up to Wembley against Spurs, and they went there and dominated, although admittedly they dominated through control, not through going all-out attack.
Yes, their last trip to England saw them win 4-2 at Wembley. It is the blockbuster tie of the round. We're looking forward to it. So enjoy the game, and remember, you can hear more of us on the Spanish Football Podcast. It's on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Acast, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and also bonus content at patreon.com/TSFP.